first of all, listen, it's interesting about all these young guys today. They never call on us and say, hey, thanks for the kind word and telling me how great a player I am. But when they play like crap and we call them out, we don't know what we're talking about. Listen, I'm easy to find, but I get sick of these guys complaining. These young guys, they never call us and say, when a coach is wrong, I'm going to call him out. But when players are wrong, I'm going to call them out. But listen, I'm going to criticize guys if they deserve it. And listen, they can kiss my ass if they don't like it.
What's going on, YouTube? Nathan, back with another video presentation. I hope you guys are all well. Hope you're all staying safe. Tuesday. It's 12 in the morning. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Hope everybody stayed safe. Hope everybody's Monday was good. Before we get into the video, there's a few things that I want to say up front. I just want to continue to remind that I'm not paying attention to any trolls, any ignorant, goofy comments. Going to be blocked. The channel will be blocked as well. So I'm not wasting my energy on you. A couple things we're going to get into. Season 3 on YouTube has the podcast fully as a playlist. There's a playlist for season 3 on YouTube. I do apologize if I haven't uploaded recently on Spotify and Anchor. I will have that done tomorrow. I guarantee tomorrow. I'll have these episodes downloaded and ready for y'all to listen on Anchor via Spotify. Please forgive me. I'm a little tired. It's been a long day. It was really wasn't a restless weekend, I should say. But in this video, in this podcast, a couple things. NFL week 3. Cannot be we're 3 weeks into the NFL season already. Going to talk about Baltimore Ravens versus the Detroit Lions. And I got to get into the Washington football team and the embarrassing loss we took to the Buffalo Bills. The San Francisco 49ers versus the Green Bay Packers Sunday night game. That was a good game to watch. The Dallas Cowboys, they trounced the Eagles, so I have to talk about them in the next episode. Got to talk about the Orioles and the Nationals. They each have they have 6 games apiece. We're almost done with the season. NBA Media Day was today. Pretty much guys going, asking questions about the media, different things like that. Round 2 of the NBA playoffs. Hey, Lucinda, good to see you. Yes, you too. I appreciate you. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. Round 2 for the WNBA playoffs is completed. Break that down, and also to send my congratulations to the all-defensive first and second team for this season as well. There's a couple things that I definitely want to get into regarding football, because there was a video that was said regarding the one Matthew Stafford and up in this matchup against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. So I'm getting into that as well. But where do I begin? The Jets and the Giants stink. I cannot believe, you're going up against a Falcon team and you can't even beat them. I mean, 14 points was all you could give me. What's funny, I have my notes here, statistic. The Jets and the Giants are 18-49. since the 2017 season. I mean, my God, I just, you lost to the Falcons. I mean, they put it on a 4th and 4 at their 39-yard line. What sense does that make? Dave Gettleman maybe on. I think Dave Gettleman's done. Joe Judge is new, so he's kind of getting a pass. Um, you know, as of tonight, the NFC East was up for as of today, the Dallas Cowboys are now 2-1. The Washington football team is now 1-2. Eagles are 1-2, and the Giants are 0-3. What's funny? The Indianapolis Colts losing in overtime to the they're losing. They could actually, their first round pick they have, if Carson Wentz plays, 75% of his snaps, they get a first round pick. The Dolphins who lost in overtime. What? I just have to say this. What offensive coordinator would, if you're back in your own end zone and your first choice is to throw a screen in the end zone? Who in their right mind would do that? Okay. So if they continue the way they're going, they owe the Eagles a first round pick. I mean, just overall, I think it just, the Rams and Buccaneers game was good. Carolina, they're now 3. They look good. And I talked about them Thursday night against the Texans. They've been banged up. The Kansas City Chiefs. I'm just curious. I just want this question asked. And I know some people may disagree with me on it, but that's okay. Is this the blueprint? The blueprint to beat the Kansas City Chiefs? Because I know I know people are gonna make excuses for Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes didn't really have it. He made some questionable decision making. He's thrown 5 interceptions in now 3 games, and I just want to know: is there a blueprint on Patrick Mahomes? But I know the excuse is going to be they have their defense is looking good right now, Nathan. So, but you know what? I'm gonna stay off that. I just want to know because again, like I said, I want to say this for the record. It's not that I'm not a Patrick Mahomes hater. I think Patrick Mahomes is a great football player, but people treat him like as if he can do no wrong. Like he covers a multitude of sins. Is Patrick Mahomes the benefit of is he a good player because of the system that he's in, or is he the benefit of what makes him a great player? The benefit that he's in a system or a good coaching? Because we can make the same argument. Alex Smith minus Edwards, Clyde-Helaire, Miko Hardman, and DeMarcus Robinson. He had Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. Same offense, same weapons. But that's neither here nor there. I'm not going to get into that. But I just want to know, has the blueprint officially been drawn on Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs? Because I think they're going up against the Eagles. So the Eagles are now on short rest because now they got, after getting embarrassed in Dallas, now they got to go home and face Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. But I'm just curious. I just want to know: has the blueprint, because they did it with Lamar Jackson after they beat him, after the San Diego Chargers, beat us in the wild card. It's not sustainable. The blueprint to beating Patrick Mahomes and I mean, like Lamar Jackson. So I just want to know: is there been a blueprint on Patrick Mahomes? That's all. Really quick, I want to talk about a video that I saw on YouTube. Was regarding one Matthew Stafford. I want to say this for the record as well. I think Matthew Stafford is a good quarterback. I know he's been to the playoffs 3 times, but I want you to understand, and again, I had to pull up my secret weapon on this one, because the fact that Ryan Clark helped expose what the media, how it dictates, how there are guys in the media that can be a hypocrite. I want you to understand, I'm not taking anything away from Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford was on a team for 13 years that was trash. When I mean trash, I'm not talking about the players. I'm talking about the culture. I'm talking about from front office ownership. Because that's the Detroit Lions. If you look at it, they're just a year or two away from from really doing something. But it's just something about their culture that I don't like. How can you say a guy who was on a team, 3 playoff losses, he's traded for virtually 3 first-round picks, and you instantly come out and say they are an instant Super Bowl contender? Matthew Stafford makes them a legit Super Bowl contender, and he hasn't shown that he can do that before he got to Los Angeles. But when it comes to, let me just show you let me just show you the video. Again, I can show you rather than I can tell you. All right, here's the video.
Games. Last season's Jared Goff-led Rams gave Tom and the Bucs one of their 5 total losses. RC, good to have you with us. Tell me this, is this a must-win for Stafford?
It absolutely is. And I truly hate saying things are must win in week 3, because especially now you have 17 weeks. So you can lose this week and run off the next, and then you're good. But that's not the case for Matthew Stafford. He was talking in the preseason, and he said he came to Los Angeles because he wanted to play in big games. He wanted to be in meaningful moments, and he wanted to make winning plays when they counted. Well, here's the first time that they count. It doesn't have to be a playoff for Matthew Stafford. Last year, the Jared Goff-led Los Angeles Rams beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he and Matthew Stafford is supposed to be the upgrade. They're supposed to be able to win because of Matthew Stafford, not in spite of or win with Matthew Stafford. And so here is his chance. You're facing the greatest player of all time. You're facing an offense that puts up points in large numbers. And so now, Matthew Stafford, can you be that difference? Can you push the football down the field? Can you make those huge plays? Can you beat the GOAT? And this will be his first opportunity to do so.
Well, why don't you stop? I mean, that's ridiculous. Just like you just said. It's week 3, man. It's week 3, Ryan. You're just being ridiculous. So all of a sudden, the Rams, who, by the way, are 2-0, anticipated to be a Super Bowl contender, definitely, obviously,
Yes.
making the playoffs, will likely meet
Yes.
Tampa Bay or Green Bay or somebody in the postseason, okay? Oh,
Okay.
week 3 of the NFL season in Matthew Stafford's 12th year, all right, his 3rd game with his new team. Oh, he has to win. Stop. Don't get me wrong. He can't stink up the joint. Now, I ain't going to say that. I'm not going to say that it wouldn't be a very bad thing if he shows up against Tom Brady and then he shows up and play and looks like Aaron Rodgers looked in week 1 against, against New Orleans. I'm not saying that. But what if Matthew Stafford, who's already thrown for 599 yards, what if he has a 300-yard game, throws about 3 touchdowns, QBR's up there, it's a competitive game, and Tampa Bay walks away, let's say with a 34-31 win or whatever. Oh my God, stop the presses. Matthew Stafford's gonna look bad. Stop, Ryan. That's not true. That's not true.
This is so crazy to me, Stephen A. We coming off a week where all of y'all were on TV. Oh, Lamar Jackson has to play so well. This team has to win. They never beat Kansas City. Lamar Jackson has done much more than Matthew Stafford. Lamar Jackson has proved much more than Matthew Stafford, but he's already playing in must-win games in week 2. But now Matthew Stafford, who in his life has never won anything. Yes, he's shown us that he's a number 1 overall talent. He's shown us that he had an amazing arm, but he's not a winner. Matthew Stafford isn't a guy that has led teams to great seasons, been an MVP.
Now, real quick, I want you guys to pay attention to seeing now how the narrative on Lamar Jackson has been changed by Stephen Smith. I want you to just pay attention.
And now he gets his chance in his new place where you got rid of your first overall pick, Jared Goff, a guy that's already brought you to a Super Bowl. And you're telling me in his first huge game against Tom Brady, he doesn't have to go out and win? A guy that has never proved in his NFL career that he could be a winner doesn't have to go out and win? Give me a break, Stephen A. And don't act like you're the dude that sits there and lives life with logic and rationale. Because if that was the case, you wouldn't be around here being Brick and hosting Jimmy Kimmel. You would just sit on First Take and sit on Stephen A's World with all the 11 million shows you have and just chill. But you know you need to do more, just like Matthew Stafford needs to do more. Matthew Stafford has to win this game, not the Rams. Y'all didn't ask me if the Rams had to win this game because the team's going to be okay.
Ryan,
You know, when he went off on Stephen A., I just sat back, I crossed my arms, and I said, Ryan Clark is my favorite sports journalist. You know, and again, like I said, people are going to disagree with me about Lamar Jackson and all this about the narrative's been created. But I want you to understand, because in this video, in this show, actually, he said, Lamar Jackson. Actually, I'll continue to play.
Get you? I feel like he kind
hold
of
that
got
thought.
you.
no, he didn't. He dropped his
Gosh,
mic.
dang
You know,
it.
he didn't get his mic.
No, he like literally dropped the mic.
Please, the little bro don't get the big bro. The big bro is the one that gets the little bro. That's how this works. Now, let me be very, very clear, Ryan, since you wanted to quote me.
Stephen A., you see
Did I not just finish listening to you? Did I not just finish listening to you? I thought I just finished listening to you. That's what I just did. It's my turn. Ryan Clark, if I remember correctly, I specifically said, when you're looking at Lamar Jackson, it's not about that. It's about the fact that you can't throw for 97 yards. What I said is, if you're going to go up against Patrick Mahomes, you got to show you could fling that football. You could be that playmaker extraordinaire, and you can make things happen, too. You can't fold like a cheap tent.
Hold on. See, he never said that. What he said was he has to be consistent. He never said to beat Patrick Mahomes, you have to be consistent throwing the ball. Lamar Jackson threw for 232 yards. I mean, again, we can take away the 2 interceptions. Yes, quarterbacks make mistakes all the time. But now all of a sudden we're now adding, like when you look on the bottom of when you sign something, you have something in fine print. Now we're saying to beat Patrick Mahomes, you have to consistently throw the ball. And then on top of that, he took a shot at him by saying you can't throw for 97 yards, which Lamar Jackson has never done.
against Patrick Mahomes because that's likely the individual that's going to be standing in your way for years to come. We pointed out how young Lamar Jackson was. I said, excuse me, Patrick Mahomes ain't some senior citizen. The brother's 26 years old and in the same conference. Somewhere along the way, you have to beat him. You're 0-3 against him at the time going into that game. You have to beat him. You got to show out. You got to make sure that you ain't the reason y'all lose the game. That's what I said about Lamar Jackson. It's on tape. So you can try to misquote.
But he did that. He did it. Here was a team that was down 35-21. Lamar Jackson, general. Because again, I got my secret weapon. I'm going to save it for the end of this video. I'm going to play it. I'm going to end the podcast with it. Because now you're sitting there and you're saying, well, wait a minute. Because I didn't know that when it comes to a quarterback, it's all about statistics. I didn't know that. So help me out with this. So what defines a quarterback? Because to me, a quarterback is a general who, to me, does his job. Last time I checked, he makes sure he's calling the plays, audibles, different things like that. I saw Lamar Jackson, a general, will his team to win the game. So now all of a sudden when it comes to quarterbacks, it's all about stats. He's got to throw for over 5,000 yards. He's got to throw for 50 touchdowns. He can't, this notion, I don't understand what this, with pressure, who stands in the pocket? He's got to fling the football. He threw for 232 yards in that game. Now, Sunday's game against the Rams, offensively, Baltimore was trash. But we're going to get into that when I break that game down. But my point is, do you see how things are flipped? Because now he's saying, is this a must-win for Matthew Stafford? Because remember, I didn't say this. I didn't say it. It's all on tape. Everybody and their mother said the addition of Matthew Stafford makes them a legitimate Super Bowl contender. A guy who's unproven. A guy who's 0-3 in the playoffs. How can a guy who's, again, not taking anything away from what Matthew Stafford has done in the league, how can a guy with an 0-3 playoff record instantly make your team a Super Bowl contender and hasn't proven that he can will your team to the playoffs when in Detroit? And you can spell out, well, Nathan, that team, those teams he was on was stunk. He had Calvin John, he had Megatron, he had Marvin Jones, he had Pettigrew, he had some weapons. They got to the playoffs 3 times. What's the excuse? Now, and again, what's funny to me is that when you come out and say, is this a must-win for Matthew Stafford? Hell yes, it is a must-win. Why? Because this is a potential Super Bowl matchup. Now, if he came out and lost, been a different narrative. Did it flip the script? You're going up against the reigning Super Bowl champion. You're going up against Tom Brady. So he should have shown up better. Of course you need to show up. Because why? Because the pressure by the media and by everybody and their mother, hey, Matthew Stafford makes the Los Angeles Rams a legitimate number 1 Super Bowl contender. A guy is practically unproven. 0-3 in the playoffs. Hasn't shown that he can will your team to a playoff win. Everybody got on Lamar Jackson about, they squarely blamed him and that loss for Tennessee. That man threw for had combined 500 yards offensively. They squarely blamed him for that. Some other people said it was empty calories. But I'm trying to get you guys to understand the distinction of how they change the narrative on one player and the other. I'm not making this a black and white thing. I'm never doing that. I just want you to see the distinction of how they create and want to change the narrative on different players. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand that.
But it ain't gonna work. Okay, it ain't gonna work because the quotes are there. All right. Now, getting back to Stafford, what I'm saying is he has to play well. I get that part, but it's not a must win. Okay, if he plays well, but somehow, some way, his defense don't show up and Tom Brady gets the better of them, it's okay as long as he balls.
Oh.
So what you're saying is it's okay for Matthew Stafford to continue the trajectory that his career has always been. We know Matthew Stafford is good, but they don't win. So that's okay to you now? You can allow Matthew Stafford when you bring him over to a team like the Los Angeles Rams?
I think this is a different standard. The Detroit Lions, they got to the playoffs 3 times in like 12 years. They haven't won a playoff game since 1991, I think, or whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. The bottom line is you got that backdrop. In this particular situation, it's about going up against the GOAT. It ain't about just going up. It's not just a big game. It's going up against the reigning defending Super Bowl champions led by a 44-year-old dude who's got 7 Super Bowl titles and is considered the greatest of all time. There's a difference. So I don't think that the urgency to win this game is on him. It's an urgency for him to perform well.
But you just said, you see, like, do you see how he switched up? He first came out and said, no, it's week 3. Then comes out and says he has to perform well. What is it? Is it a must win or does he have to perform well?
Was the acquisition of Matthew Stafford not to take this team to a different level that they didn't believe Jared Goff could take them?
Yes.
Was that not why they went out and got Matthew Stafford?
That is correct.
Well, this is his first opportunity to prove it. This is pressure on Sean McVay to say, you know what? Los Angeles Rams fan, Les Snead. This is the reason we needed Matthew Stafford, because when we play people like Tom Brady, I want to have a guy I can believe in. I want to have a guy who I think that is as good or better when he needs to be in big moments. This is Matthew Stafford's first big moments. And if Matthew Stafford was a rookie, if Matthew Stafford was a 3rd-year guy, a 4th-year guy, a guy who is just coming into his own, then I say, you know what? Nah, it doesn't really matter. He just has to go out and play well. He just has to show that he could compete. No, Matthew Stafford has to make plays to win this game. I do not care if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have the football last. If they got the football last, you better have enough points to where they cannot catch up. Matthew Stafford has to win this game. You know it. I know it. I know you're trying to be consistent, but you've been inconsistent in life before, and you need to be now so you can be right.
I don't know. Well, first of all, I'm usually right, so it's not. It's not. It's no big deal. That's number 1. Number 2.
Stephen A's world.
Number 2, whatever. In Stephen A's world and First Take. It don't matter. It don't.
Do you see how sensitive he's getting? Because Ryan Clark just put him in his place. You know, and again, I have to give this YouTuber, regular Ravens fan, a big shout out, because he's kind of the main one that is saying these guys, former players that are now on ESPN, CBS, Fox Sports, to really push against guys like Stephen A. Smith. Because it's getting to a point. Well, it's not about it's about being consistent when you make your arguments. When you can't say one thing about a player and then completely say another thing about a player. Like, if you're going to hold Lamar Jackson to this high standard, he had to beat Patrick Mahomes, which he did. Then Matthew Stafford, there's an expectation going against Tom Brady. Hey, you need to show out. You need to win this game. Because why? This is a potential Super Bowl matchup. You could see him. And again, it's a guy who everybody said makes them a legit Super Bowl contender. But Jared Goff was in the Super Bowl with this team not too long ago. But I digress.
No matter. And listen, I don't even have to worry about it. Like I said, it's his first opportunity, but it won't be his last this season. And that's the key point to be made. And by the way, I don't have to make my point further. I'll just leave it to my man DC Daniel Cormier to make it for me when he's beating you up on y'all podcast together. I'll just let him.
All right, that's enough of that. I no. All right. But I'm just trying to get you guys to see what I see, and it's not taking anything away from Matthew Stafford. Again, Matthew Stafford is a great player. He's got to prove that they got to win the championship. Like people say Lamar Jackson has to win the championship. Matthew Stafford has to win a championship. That's it. But I want you guys to understand the distinction of being a potential hypocrite. Because Stephen is a hypocrite. You can't say one thing about Lamar and then turn around and say something different about Matthew Stafford. Again, my opinion. So I'm already 32 minutes in the podcast and ranting. But what an ugly win by the Baltimore Ravens. I know, again, as a Raven fan and a Washington fan, some people may not like me to hear that, but a couple things I took away from that. DeAndre Swift, in the second half of that game, looked really good. You know, the Lions are starting to give him more opportunities. I like that. He had 60 receiving yards and 47 yards rushing. Total, that's 107 yards and a touchdown. You know, the Ravens had they had a third and out. Only punted twice. You know, we missed a field goal, had a pick, and only one touchdown. I saw Baltimore being conservative a little bit. I saw Detroit being conservative. You know, this bothers me. You know, the score was 16-14. It was a 1st and 10 on our own 14-yard line. 2 minutes left. Detroit decides to milk the clock. You know, Baltimore didn't have any timeouts. They had like a minute. They used the last time it was with like a minute and some change. And went with a field goal. Make it 17-16. I question their decision why not to be aggressive with that. Third down for Baltimore. We did horrible on third down. We were 1 of 10. But we still made some plays. The fourth and 19 play, which is one play. But as a offense, Marquise Brown. This is exactly what I have been trying to tell everybody. Look at Lamar Jackson's weapons. I mean, he had 2 good passes in his hands. He dropped it. Our running backs, Murray, Williams, Freeman, combined had 58 yards. That's 4 yards per carry. Lamar Jackson, yes, 16 of 31, 287, 1 touchdown on the pick. Sacked 4 times. That's what it looked like to me. You know, and defensively, you know, particularly the defensive line with now half of them, you know, the guys COVID and injuries. Defensively, we held our own. I give Baltimore that. Linebackers, same thing. Secondary, Chuck Clark had a great game. Marlon Humphrey, Tavon Young. But the score should not reflect our performance. The Detroit Lions had this game, and they should have won. Our offense was inefficient. And it took the greatest kicker of all time, the Detroit Lion killer, Justin Tucker. He broke the NFL record with a 66-yard field goal. Not taking anything away from that. Because you know why? He did it at sea level. Those kicks, Matt Prater, Jason Elam, did it in Denver. The difference between Denver and in Detroit, sea level. Denver, the air is thinner. Justin Tucker hit a 66-yard field goal in a dome. But it was an ugly win. I'm not celebrating that. I'm celebrating it's Justin Tucker Appreciation Week because he made history. Put some respect on that man's name. The greatest kicker of all time. Saved us from potentially an embarrassing loss. Because I remember, real quick, let me just give you a little side story. Many years ago, we went up to Baltimore. Got shellacked. I think it was like 38-7, something like that. And the Lions kicked our ass. Went up there, all cocky, different things like that. The last time we faced the Lions, Justin Tucker hit a 61-yard field goal. But real quick, I just want to point this out. When Tom Dempsey, rest in peace, made history with that field goal, it was the exact same score with us yesterday. The exact same score. I thought that was ironic. But it just was ugly. Offensively, we just were not. We got to get it together. Embarrassing. I got to talk about the Washington football team. Oh my God. I don't even know where to begin. I don't really know what to feel. I don't really know what to say. I'm trying to find the right words to really say what I feel. To go on the road and get dubbed the way we did says a lot about Washington. I am not backing down from my pick. I still think the Washington football team can win the division. But same thing I pointed out in San Diego. Same issues with San Diego. Third down, another issue. We just on third down, we're not efficient. Buffalo's first drive, it was a 3rd and 15. Josh Allen found Gabriel Davis for 23 yards. Buffalo had 15, 9 of 15, that's 60% on third down. Compared to Washington, offensively, we only got 2 out of 11, which makes that 18%. And also 2 turnovers, which I'll break that down. But, I mean, the defense. Oh, my Lord. Josh Allen, 32 of 43, 358 yards, 4 touchdowns, and also had a running TD. He was not sacked one time. There's even an interview where he says he hasn't been playing well. He even said this was his to get right game. Buffalo's offensive line has struggled against Pittsburgh, and even struggled in yesterday. And Washington's front four couldn't get any pressure on Josh Allen. I mean, there's one I can't think of what down it was, but he had Stephon Diggs was wide open, but they got to Josh Allen where he threw it out of bounds. But again, the zone coverage is not working. I feel like Jack Del Rio, you might want to consider man coverage, because I mean, at one point they were playing press coverage, y'all. That's how bad we looked defensively. I'm not trying to be funny. That's how bad we looked. I mean, Jack coaching, I saw no effort defensively, no impact, nothing. I mean, it was horrible. I mean, I got my notes here because I took notes. 26 times they pressured Josh Allen. Darren Payne, who had 11 of them. I mean, there was one point, y'all, where he was getting triple teamed. Where are the linebackers? Holcomb, Bosick, Davis. I mean, they had 8 stops combined. But I mean, damn. Holcomb, he was getting targeted the most. And don't get me started on the secondary. Landon Collins, Cameron Curl, they both about a touchdown. Kendra Fuller, he looks. I mean, I don't know what's going through his head. Brandon St. Just and William Jackson were the only two actually showing that they had a pulse. I mean, defensively, y'all, that was awful football. That was awful football to watch. It was horrendous. The Buffalo Bills put this notion that Washington arguably had the best defense. They put that to sleep. We got some work to do. Jack Del Rio, Ron Rivera, and I know Ron Rivera that had control. You know, he's hearing on those plays. But I mean, week 3, and I have been saying, I have been consistent with it. I said the biggest thing coming into this game was Scott Turner and Leslie Frazier. I wanted to see the adjustments defensively. Didn't see that. I mean, it's like, you know, for example, with basketball, 2-3 zone, 3-2, 1-3-1 zone. Guys worrying about their zone and then instead of worrying about assignments. I said the Washington football team defensively lacks continuity. I'm not calling, and let's call it this. I'm not calling for anybody's job. I know we're 3 games in the season, but this is ridiculous. That was awful. Just flat out awful. I mean, offensively, the offensive line looked good. They held their own. You know, they only allowed 8 pressure. They only allowed pressure 8 times. Terry McLaurin was, you know, had 4 passes for 62 yards. Logan Thomas fumbled the ball in the second quarter. That made no sense, but it was a good defensive effort. He punched the ball out of his hand. I mean, we were down 21-0 after 3 offensive possessions. Running game, non-existent. In the first half, McKenzie and Gibson, 7 carries. Gibson at 31 yards. Well, I will say this: what brought a pulse was the 73-yard touchdown by Gibson. That was the only pass he caught. I mean, just we look like we threw the white flag up. I mean, that makes me mad when you just say to yourself, "Oh, well, we're getting embarrassed at home, so on the road, fuck it." You got to give me some effort, and I didn't see that. I did not see that. I mean, we just a disappointing game. This disappointing. And we played the Falcons. Make sure I have that right. Yes, the Falcons. Tyler Heineke, I know, I understand it was his first road game. He had 212 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he threw a couple 2 interceptions. I mean, I feel like a time where I think that, crucial moments in the game, just overall, just a bad game. I mean, no pressure from Buffalo. I mean, that's awful. That's awful. One could only imagine, and I have to give them a shout out to Washington Football Crew, Washington Football Weekly Crew. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be a part of your show. Hope I made Will Kramer proud in some way to cover the feeling for his spot. But I can't wait to hear what they got to say. I know particularly Abs. I know Abs is definitely going to go off. Sean too. By the way, I hope you had a great birthday. Many more to you. This is water, but cheers. I mean, overall, just watching both of these teams, besides the Justin Tucker game, the Justin Tucker kid, what a disappointing week. It was just disappointing. I would have expected the Baltimore Ravens to go up in Detroit and blow them boys out. I would have expected the Lions at least you could have, if it's one thing if the score was 31-27. But the fact that we started out down 21-0 and defensively non-existent on the road, that's what makes it look bad. And again, this was my fear about Ron Rivera, because it just seems like he's not the conservativeness. Is what do you mean we have a long way to go? There were expectations coming into this season. I'm not saying 16-0, but coming off a season where we just we made the playoffs, we showed that we could keep up against the Buccaneers. We were, a couple plays away, but forget the sack record, forget all these things. We got some work to do. We really do. Now against Atlanta, I believe we'll come out better. We'll come out a lot better with some differences, because it's the Falcons. The Falcons, no disrespect, but the Falcons are in rebuilding mode. I'm disappointed in Baltimore, but I'm hoping that I'm going to see some better effort when they go up to the Mile High City in Denver. Oh my God. Then I wanted to see the Sunday night game for myself. Mr. Aaron Rodgers. versus the San Francisco 49ers. Shout out to Jerry Rice. Excuse me. Final score 30-28. I really don't know what to really say about the game. At first, I thought it was all over. The way it looked to me, Green Bay looked like they had it. They wanted it more. You know, Aaron Rodgers looked like he was an MVP form. Again, San Francisco's secondary has been battered with injuries. I saw a balanced offensive attack. Devontae Adams looked good out there. Aaron Jones looked good. And even defensively, Green Bay matched San Francisco's front seven intensity. That's what I saw. Jimmy Garoppolo was they kept him moving in the pocket. Jair Alexander, that boy can play. I think what really hurt them the most, San Francisco, the offensive line didn't look great. It made me uncomfortable that there were moments in the game where Shanahan relied on Trey Lance to bail them out in the red zone. I mean, well, obviously, where everyone says that play matters the most, but that's fine. I think what it really started was in the second quarter. They're down 10-0. They're on their own 14, and Jimmy G just lost one up, and Alexander gets it. Green Bay went for it on the 4th and 1 that made zero sense to me. Just take the 3. I thought the backward pass by Jimmy G was really, really not smart. But I mean, again, what are you going to do? Take the sack for loss, but overall, it was a good game for Green Bay. It was just disappointing in San Francisco. I know that again, this team will be fine. The run game did not have a great night. And like I said, offensive line didn't play well. I don't really know how to explain some of these games. It's getting like, at one point I wanted to turn it off. I'm not going to lie. Just like I turned off the Dallas and Philadelphia game after when they scored that last touchdown to make it, I turned it off. But I wanted to see this game because with the whole thing about Aaron Rodgers, about his lack of effort. Does he not care anymore? These different things like that. He put that to rest, to me, in my opinion. So it was a great game by Aaron Rodgers. Josh Gordon is back in the NFL. He signed with the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm a little hesitant to see how it looks. I'm just not. I just feel like a guy that's gotten now 6 opportunities, and something always arisen with performing enhancing drugs, whatever it may be. My only concern is how many chances do you give a guy until you say to yourself, okay, we're done. So I'm really curious to see how he's going to look at that locker room. He's got Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes, Kelsey, Miko Hartman, Andy Reid, By the way, got some real quick thoughts and prayers. I hope he's doing all right. I know they say he went to the hospital after the game. So thoughts and prayers with him. So I can't. I'm kind of serious how that'll work. Josh Norman, same thing. Thoughts and prayers with you, sir. Say he was coughing up blood. I think he got released. I want to say he got released from the hospital today, but I hope he's doing well. Thoughts and prayers. Devontae Adams. That was a dirty hit. Knock that man out. Hope he's all right. They were saying concussion protocols were fully followed, so that was good to know. Jimmy Ward should have been flagged for that. He should have got ejected from the game because the same thing, y'all, with like Burfict with his head. I don't really understand why guys today have to lead with the head, and you're going to get flagged for that. It was good to see Devontae Adams walk on his own power, but again, just want to send my thoughts and prayers. But he got swallowed. He definitely got his bell rung. C.J. Henderson got traded to the Carolina Panthers. I like that addition because J.C. Horn's out for the season. So, and if you think about it, this is a veteran that can help J.C. grow. But this is really just because J.C. Horn's out for the season. C.J. Henderson last year was the ninth overall pick. Jacksonville right now they stink. He also played 8 games before last year, going on injury reserve last year. He didn't play against Arizona because he had a groin injury. So I definitely think I'm a fan of Phil Snow. I think he can thrive in that defense because now you got J.C. Horn on one side and C.J. on the other. So that should be interesting. For Jacksonville, because I saw a video here on YouTube. I'm not going to say the person's name because, again, they have an opinion like I do. And, again, I get it. But after 3 games, we're going to say Trevor Lawrence is a bust. When I'm looking at offensive line, it's been terrible. They have the worst tight end group in the NFL. So they just upgraded with that. Jacob Holster had a drop that led to an interception. And the addition of this, what's his name? Dan Arnold. This is the upgrade. He's had 7 catches for 84 yards. He can be a go-to player for Trevor Lawrence. See, again, and this is what I've been trying to point out to people. Expectations are high for a player. But when he's put in a system where you got to look at what's around him. Make the same argument for Tim Couch. Trevor Lawrence, maybe outside of DJ Clark. Let me just pull the Jags offensive their roster. Right now they're 0-3. Their owner cares more. Their owner seems to be more interested in the AEW than the Jacksonville Jaguars to me, in my opinion. But let me just give you his wide receivers, okay? So Jamal Agnew, DJ Clark, Tyrone Johnson, Marvin Jones, and you have somebody by the name of Lavarska Shenault. Now they got Darren Arnold, Luke Farrell, Jacob Hollister. Let me give you his offensive line. Ben Barch, AJ Cann, Brandon Linder, Andrew Noel, Cam Robinson, Will Richardson, Tyler Shatley, Jawan Taylor. Now, Cam Johnson is actually not a bad offensive line. He's actually pretty good. That offensive line's been disappointing. Walker Little is on the COVID reserve list. Tavon Austin's on the IR. Travis E10 is on the IR. Terry Goodwin's on the IR. But I think to say after 3 games, the man's a bust, in what world? Hell, if that's the case, then some of these other rookies, they should be labeled bust too. But I guess each fan has their own expectations of a player. But okay, let it so be. What else is happening? Matt Nagy. See, this is what's going to hurt you as a coach. He said all 3 quarterbacks are under consideration to start week 4. Andy Dalton, Justin Fields, and Andy Dalton, Nick Foles, and Justin Fields. All 3 could start. They really haven't gotten off to a great offensive start after losing to the Cleveland Brownies. I'm not going to go and say Matt Nagy's on the hot seat. I'm not going to go that far. And I'm sure, again, I want to give a shout out to Let's Football. Let's Football. Let's Talk Football, the roundtable. Delilah Crespo and Nick Rosario, because they're Bear fans. They have a more understanding. I don't think Matt Nagy's on the hot seat. I know he has 1 more year on his deal. He's gotten them to the playoffs twice. But these are the things that really that fans see to go, all hell's gonna break loose. Andy Dalton was brought to Chicago to be a stopgap, to let Justin Fields develop. You brought in Nick Foles because you pretty much gave up on Mr. Trubisky. I'm not revisiting that. But how, in God's name, do you, as a cohesive unit offensively, only come out the game with 47 points? You got to explain that to me. 47 yards, 47 yards as a cohesive unit offensively. That's what we come out of. I mean, I'm taking paychecks away. They're going to take public transit back home. I mean, in Cleveland, they got to find their own way back to the airport, their own plane. They got to get their own plane ticket. I'm not paying for they plane tickets back home. That is awful. 47 yards is all you can muster as an offense. Just disgusting. Darius Leonard, who got ran rode it like a dog against Derrick Henry. The Colts are now 0-3. Offensively, the Indianapolis Colts are just inconsistent. They definitely. I mean, they had 265 yards, but 3 of 12 for third down. Just 1 touchdown and only 1, and just disgusting. The defense didn't get any stops. Derrick Henry made it look like a rag doll. Just absolutely disgusting. That's really disgusting. Let me play the clip real quick of him cussing, because it was he had a lot to say. And shout out to Darius Leonard because I'm a fan, and I feel his pain. But I mean, where were they at? Okay, I'm sorry. For some reason, there we go. I apologize for that, like, random pause right there. Please forgive me. Let me know if y'all can hear that. That's it. I mean, and I think the coach will figure it out. And I think, again, you can definitely really see how frustrated he is. Again, I just I feel like with Carson Wentz, because he's already coming into this season where the team where he already kind of, in my opinion, lacks confidence because he shook his confidence in Philadelphia. And there's a journalist or a sportscaster, whatever you want to call him, really shook his confidence. I mean, shook it to the core. But let me transition from football to baseball. No Orioles baseball today. We got 6 more games. I will say this: the last few games, we've shown improvements. We got 2 games out of 4 against the Texas Rangers. There have definitely been some positives to look at. Ryan Mountcastle looks great. Austin Hayes has been the development of him. I've been critical of Austin Hayes. A couple people can attest to that. I know the biggest thing about staying healthy. In the month of September, he's hit 8 home runs. I think he's posted like a 977 on base percentage. Again, I was critical of him. I said, man, he just can't stay healthy, and he's definitely shown me a lot. Again, Brandon Hyde, I said on the last episode of the podcast, he's coming back next year. Brandon Hyde for him next year. So, even though in his defense, they haven't won as many games because, again, he's been dealt a bad hand. I mean, he's had virtually nobody to work with, maybe other than at the time Mancini and Mullins. That's about it. I mean, from John Means, Mountcastle, and Mullins and Mancini. Other than that, up until this year, he really hasn't had a lot to work with. Again, like I said, come next year we got some decisions to make. I'm saying, can we get some consistent placeholders? That's what I meant to say. consistent placeholders. So when we have guys like Adley Rutchinson, Grayson Rodriguez, maybe a DL Hall, maybe those guys, are they ready next year, or do we need another year to be ready? So that's about it with Orioles. We play the Red Sox, and we finish off the season against the Blue Jays on the road. The Nationals won tonight. We beat the Rockies 5-4. We actually have a 4-game series. We just took the first game. We're coming off of a kind of a disappointing series loss. We got swept. We took one out of 4 against the Cincinnati Reds. I can't really say anything like with the Orioles. There's some positives to this team. The Nationals are the same thing situation. They're in rebuilding mode. I like the resurgence of Josh Bell, former Pittsburgh Pirate first baseman. I'm a fan. I like to see. I'm glad to see that he's gotten his confidence back. Josiah Gray had a great outing tonight. Just a few things, we just got to work on. So disappointing ways to end the season for both teams. 65 and 92. Where we're looking at the Orioles. We won our 50th game. I said if we get to 50 wins, I'll be happy. We're 50-106. We're the Diamondbacks. Same record, 50-106. That is embarrassing, man. Just embarrassing. Not really much going on in the NBA news. That's really all the baseball talk I had for y'all. NBA Media Day was today. A couple things. Good to see all the guys. See some guys, got to see the Wizards media. They got to see some interviews with other teams. Kawhi, Golden State. Who else? Brooklyn. It was funny. Dave Letterman was actually interviewed Kevin Durant and said, "Why do they call you KD?" Kevin Durant had this what the fuck look on his face. But I think I don't even think he knew it was Dave Letterman. I could be wrong. But couple guys have been because the NBA, and unfortunately, we got to have this uncomfortable conversation. We got to have a little talk about it. We're asked about the vaccination status. The NBA is not requiring guys to get their vaccines, but in cities like New York and San Francisco, they are mandatory. And Kyrie Irving came out and said, I'm just paraphrasing it, I'll release the information at a later date. Please respect my privacy. Bradley Beal said he wasn't getting it for personal reasons. I'm basically paraphrasing it. Something along the lines of, I'm not going to get something about, he's not going to put something in his body. He said you shouldn't pressure somebody to put something in their body they don't know. But I don't understand this thinking. If you're not comfortable getting the vaccine, then what's the difference between getting a flu shot, chicken pox, other vaccines that, as when you're born, they tell you that you should get, you should get as a child. All these different other medications that we take. When we go to the doctor and say, "Hey doc, I'm not feeling well," and your doctor prescribes this, we'll take that with no problem. I don't understand that kind of thinking. No, we're not saying you need to be forced. Again, I'm not telling you what to do. There should be no forcing of anyone getting the vaccine. I just encourage people to just do the research, but also understand that you need to take in consideration your situation. He has 2 young kids. Desmond Bain said he got it because he wanted to protect him and those around him. Montez Harrell, same thing. He's got a family. He's thinking of their health and their safety. I don't understand. It's like the priorities. There's not no priorities there. So I just encourage people, just do the research and just get educated and just take it from there. It feels like he's just been a broken record talking about it. But he's not breaking any rules. The NBA is not requiring anyone to get it. But unfortunately, the unvaccinated players, they are required to more subjective testing. They're going to be more stricter. You got to get tested pretty much every day. Bill could potentially could risk the fact of missing some key games. Kyrie Irving, I read somewhere where he's threatening to retire if he's forced to get the vaccine. Personally, if you ask me, Kyrie Irving's priority isn't basketball anymore. So the Sixers, they all showed support for Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons pretty much doesn't want to be there. I've said it. He looks like he doesn't want to be there. Joel Embiid talked about his knee towards meniscus in the game. Zion Williamson had foot surgery. They talked about that. The Warriors talked about Andrew Wiggins. Steph Curry said something along the lines of that's his choice. We'll see what happens. Klay Thompson talked about he's close to returning. Kawhi Leonard didn't give a definitive timetable when he'll come back from his injury, his knee surgery. That was really all I got to see with the media day. And that was about it. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar talked about that unvaccinated players should be removed from the teams. I thought that was kind of interesting when he made that. He said this in a Rolling Stone article. And he said here, this is what was interesting, because he said a lot of players, he said the NBA should insist that all players and staff are vaccinated or remove them from the team. There is no room for players who are willing to risk the health and lives of their teammates, the staffs, and the fans simply because they're unable to grasp the seriousness of the situation or do the necessary research. What I find especially disingenuous about the vaccine deniers is their arrogance at disbelieving in immunology and other medical experts. Yet, if their child was sick or they and themselves needed emergency medical treatment, how quickly would they do the exactly what those same experts told them to do? A couple of people, Jonathan Isaac talked about he's not getting it. He said something. He considered unvaxxed players to be vilified and bullied. He thinks it's an injustice. This is the same Jonathan Isaac I did a video on a year ago, where he was the only player that stood and didn't have the Black Lives Matter shirt on, and talked about the basically he wasn't going along with the whole taking the knee and wearing the shirt. There's mixed emotions about it. 90% of the league is vaccinated, but again, like I said, I just encourage people just to do the research, educate yourselves on these things. That's all. It's nothing hard to it. Not telling anybody what to do with their body. It's your choice. Just educate yourselves, and just that's all. Education is key to unlocking a lot of things. The WNBA Round 2 playoffs are complete. Where do I begin? Great weekend. It was hard to keep up with that and football. I was a bit tired watching the games, but I'll start with the Chicago Sky game. They defeated the Minnesota Lynx. Overall, I will say this. I was shocked. Because I kind of went in there and said, okay, Minnesota, they're going to go in there and they're going to, because they're the third seed, but Chicago came in ready. I'm looking at the first quarter. They never looked back. Their fast break offense was key. They scored 22 points in transition easily. Courtney Vandersloot had 19 points. Kalia Copper had 16. Azora Stevens had 15. Diamond DeShields had 14. Allie Quigley had 11. I mean, the only thing from this season of the Chicago Sky, they've shown up with Candace Parker's injuries, and again, and consistency. I never doubted them as a contender, but their inconsistency is what bothered me. In the last 18 minutes of that game, we saw some of what their defense looked like in the early part of the season. They've held the Dallas Wings and Minnesota Lynx 54 of 136 from the field. Do the math real quick. I didn't do the math when I took my notes. That's 40%. That's 41%. I'll round that up. They forced 31 turnovers, and they've had now 6 players in double figures. And the offensive rating is 107. I know it was like 106.9, but 5 and above, you go. You know I'm going with it. 106 is 107. I have to see what they look like against the Connecticut Sun now. This is going to be This is going to be a best of 5. This is going to be a great series. Diamond DeShields. I wasn't sure which Diamond we were going to see, and she stepped up. I know from last year, in 2019, All-Star, WNBA second team, and then last year she only played 13 games in the bubble. Didn't really find her groove, but it is what it is. She came off the bench, 14 points. The Lynx defensively had no answers for her. The athleticism and the ability to finish at the rim. My gosh. She's proven to be the key factor. She can really can give them an extra piece, a missing piece to the puzzle that they need. Again, I talked about their transition as all offensively. They forced Minnesota to turn the ball over 20 times. That's the third highest according to the stat I saw during the game. For the Minnesota Lynx, they tried to make a comeback. They had it cut to 7, but Crystal Dangerfield turned the ball over. Where else can I go with this? Just the Minnesota Lynx they were shook. They were absolutely shook. I just feel they had no, like I said, no answers for their transition offense. Just a team that, to me, I thought had it, especially in the first quarter. Sylvia Follows. They just didn't have us. They just couldn't get in rhythm. I mean, after the first, it was 23-22. I mean, again, not getting back on defense and privately just giving up on plays. Chicago shot 19 of 20 from the free throw line. I may have said this in the video, but the keys for the Lynx to beat Chicago was points in the paint, how Chicago's guards were going to come out, and the Fisa Collier. Horrendous. Now, let me scratch that. Disappointing is a better word. I mean, again, Minnesota got outscored. It was like 48-32. I just they made it hard. Sylvia Follows and Nafisa Collier had a combined 12 rebounds. Sylvia Follows and in 3 quarters was held at just 8 points after 9 points in the first quarter. Now, I saw the interview she's after the game when she said she was disappointed in herself. She felt like she could have helped the team anywhere, but she said she felt like she didn't. It was a tough night for her. 3 of 11 at 8 points, 3 of 11, 4 rebounds. They did a defensively on her. They made her forced her to go underneath the basket. They just made it tough for her. But she definitely did step up when she hit that 3, and she brought it in within 4. I know she's been dealing with a foot injury all season, but I got to give Nafisa Collier respect. She went out there regardless through the injury. She played through it, and especially on the defensive side of the floor, she did a good job. I feel like she did a good job defending Candace Parker, who just had 8 points on 9 shots. All were threes. I know Lachey, I want to say Larissa. Lachey Clarity didn't play. She's been dealing with something about a right fibula. She did play, but she just really didn't have the she just really didn't have the wasn't 100% is what I'm trying to say. So it's possible you'll see her back on the team next season for Minnesota. But overall, I mean, the Minnesota Lynx got to keep their heads up. I mean, it was a great season from where they were at the beginning of the year, with overseas commitments, injuries, and Ariel Powers, with her injury, the spark plug that she's been off the bench for them, Mystic Killer. I shot Ariel Powers. She did her job here in Washington. But I'm just mad she left Washington, but that's okay. Got to make the money. They got a bright future. Caleb McBride, you got arguably one of the best in the game of Sylvia Follows, Nafisa Collier, Rachel Bannon, Crystal Dangerfield. They got a squad, and Natalie Ochoa. I can't forget about her. Yeah, they got a squad going forward. It says all about the coaching of the great Cheryl Reeves, but it also shows that it's tough to repeat, man. It's tough to repeat in this league. I mean, I really couldn't stand those Minnesota teams with Maya Moore and Simone Augustus, Lindsay Whalen, Rebecca Brunson, and them nothing against them, but it was just like watching. They just dominated. Like no matter what you tried to do, no matter what team tried, it just wasn't enough. But they got a bright future ahead of them. So that should be an interesting series. Chicago versus Connecticut. I can't wait. What else happened? The Phoenix Mercury defeated the Seattle Storm in overtime. Was this the last game we saw of the great Sue Bird? No, I don't think so. She'll be back one more year. One more year, Sue. It's going to be one more year. Where do I start? I know Diana Taurasi has been dealing with an ankle injury. That overtime was really, really. I don't know. I don't know how to the sequence of events for it to even get into overtime. Sue Bird hit the tying three to make it 73-73. Skylar Diggins missed both free throws. Joey Lloyd tried to put in a putback and missed. Skylar Diggins tried to go one-on-one, but she went too late. It was like she had like 4 seconds. She had like 6 seconds. She should have like 6 seconds. She should have went, and then got blocked by Mercedes Russell. Joey Lloyd, who I thought would had a big game, was cold in the second half. When I mean cold, she missed 7 threes. All 7 threes. I mean, 5 of 24. Katie Lou Samuelson had 18. Mercedes Russell had 10 points, double-double. I mean, Breonna Stewart didn't play because she had a foot injury. There's a couple of times where I saw DT, Diana Taurasi, show that she was in some pain with that ankle. But I mean, Phoenix had the game up as much as by 12. I mean, there was one point in the game where it was like 5 minutes and some change where there was just no shots being made. And it was like with 3 minutes and like, I want to say it's like 45 seconds. Like they hit the first 3-pointer of the game. And that came from Carly Lou Samuelson. Is this the last time you'll see Sue Bird? I doubt it. Diana Taurasi is the league leader in points, and Sue Bird is an all-time assists. Obviously went to that school in Connecticut. I love the fact that they swapped jerseys and friendship goals. It just says a lot to just their impact they've had on the game. They're Hall of Famers in my book. I see them back one more year. I would want to say they'll compete in 2024 Paris. I want to see that. But I mean, the only team that's left that has a WNBA championship is Phoenix. Excuse me, something in my eye. Put my glasses back on. I think without Breonna Stewart and I think Joy Lloyd just having a very disappointing game offensively, I think that that was the knife in the table that did Seattle, in my personal opinion. I think the keys going into this series, now we got Phoenix versus Las Vegas. That should be a good series. That really should be. So, because I'm looking at Phoenix, they went 1-2 against Las Vegas in the regular season. All 3 games were close. The game on the 19th, the final score was 84-83. I mean, even though that game didn't have no impact on where seeding was, because everyone was pretty much locked in as of August at that point. Same thing. I think for Phoenix to win that series, they gotta contribute more. I gotta see the same effort they showed against Seattle and against New York. Chicago, they're 2-1 against Connecticut in the regular season. But Connecticut has four players that made the all defensive team. When we all played the Connecticut Sun, each opponent averages less than 70 points. Chicago averaged 83 and has now averaged 85 in these last 2 playoff games. So it's a battle of the heavyweights. But I really want to see the improvements between, especially with Phoenix, the improvements between against New York and Seattle. But I did have Phoenix winning that game. I got to see the improvements. I think what's really going to be key for Phoenix is the bench play. Can that second unit keep up with Las Vegas's? I mean, especially led by Kelsey Plum. Chicago, they are a complete team, and their ability to move the ball, especially in transition, what's going to give Chicago's offense or Connecticut's defense? So I don't see any of these games being a sweep. I see it at least going 4 games. Phoenix has shown they can win without DT. But I think for them to win, leadership. But that's what they got. To me, I'm looking at Brittany Griner and Skylar Diggins-Smith. I'm looking at them because this is going to be their team when she decides to hang it up. I know she didn't have the greatest game against the Storm, but she had 6 key points in overtime. What does that show? Poise and leadership. When I look at Connecticut and Chicago, biggest matchup is Jonquel Jones versus Candace Parker. Again, like I said, can Chicago be effective against Connecticut's perimeter defense? I mean, Courtney Vandersloot, Allie Quigley, Diamond DeShields had 44 points. Kalia Cooper, who's been on offensively on a tear, she had 23 points against Dallas and had 16 against Minnesota last night. Now, I Connecticut, they enjoy. I tell you, they are one of the best defensive teams in the game. So it's going to be a great series with Connecticut. Phoenix versus Las Vegas. Liz Cambage versus Brittany Griner. No, I know Liz just came back in the last game of the season because she dealt with COVID. that front court, Liz Cambage, Asia Wilson against Brittany Griner and Brianna Turner. I know Kia Stokes and Dereka Hamby. If they can, they're going to be these. I'm telling you, it's key players. These are some key players. But I think the biggest thing is not just the bench play for Phoenix, but I think I have to see Brittany Griner, how she matches up offensively against that front court. I mean, how she respond. Just a great example when they played the Liberty, how she responded to the double teams. I'm telling you, to that one possession, they triple teamed her. The Mercury Phoenix cannot afford to make any critical errors in this game. They can't do it. I'm looking at their Las Vegas's defense is not as top tier like Connecticut's, but it's still respectable. So these are going to be two great series. I'm going to have my feet up and watch them because it's going to be, these are heavyweights. These are juggernauts. All right, I forgot to put the banner on the sun, the sky, and the Lynx. But I already said my piece about them. But it's going to be a great matchup. It's going to be a great matchup. I just gave you the preview of what to look for in these 4 games with these 4 teams now. Because it's now a best of 5. Even though I would have liked to have seen this round best of 3, but that's okay. Really quick, the all defensive teams were released. Congratulations. Again, all the hard work you've put in the off season, your dedication to the game. I know it's probably like, why you sound like that? But no, it's a congratulations to this is just the work you guys put in and day out. I mean, from being over here and you got to go overseas wherever you may play respectively. I mean, y'all just work y'all asses off. I mean, power to you. I don't know how you guys do it. It's amazing to me. This is why these are the narratives about the WNBA that needs to be killed. I just wish that they were able to play more games here. That's just how I feel. Instead of having to go overseas. That's just me. But the first team, Brittany Sykes, John Quell Jones, Brianne January, Brianna Turner, Sylvia Follows. This is Sylvia Follows' 10th defense, making 10 times. Wow. And Brianna January 7th. And then the second team was Jasmine Thomas, Ariel Atkins, Brianna Stewart, Brianna Jones, University of Maryland lady, and Brittany Griner. Now, I saw some people on Twitter that were very, very, if they felt some kind of way that there was a few that didn't make it. I know Coach Mike Thibault said that Natasha Cloud not getting all defense, picking the all defensive team was an absolute joke. Sydney Colston had some thoughts, and I thought it was kind of interesting. But I want to share it so you guys can see it, because it kind of gave me a different perspective and deep in thought. I was like, I see what they mean. So this was Sydney Colston. She said, I think voters don't actually know what good defense looks like because it's not always just shows up what statistically. And she said, again, quoting YouTube, so this YouTuber, trust your eyes. You have to watch the game to realize that a good defender, man, isn't touching the ball sometimes. The offense is literally like, never mind, not even going to throw the ball away today, which means that there aren't many stats to be had. Whereas I could be howling somebody, bust my ass on defense, getting deflections, and not a very good defender may end up in my steals. Folks will call good defenders when the offensive game plan can literally be to attack that player. I agree with that. She actually makes a good point, because sometimes it's not always about this. It's not always about the statistics. It's what you're doing on the other aspects as a defender. I mean, you're diving on the floor. I mean, you're doing other things off ball. You know, you guarding the best player. Natasha Cloud, she definitely does guard each team's best player. I mean, just good point. You know, Coach T, what did he say? Would love to know who the W award voters that left Natasha Cloud, one of the 5 best defenders in the league of all defensive team. What are you watching? Total disrespect. SMH. I know he didn't write that. He probably didn't write that. No, but he's right. What are you watching? Because again, it's not just about the stats. I mean, sometimes you got to think about like this. Same thing with equivalent to football. Are you good because of the system that makes you a good player? Or is it just coaching? But congratulations to those that won. I mean, Coach T's got to cut them a little slack. I mean, Errol Atkins made it. But I agree. Natasha Cloud should have gotten. She should have gotten there. Come on, man. But really quick, I just want to play my secret weapon because I wanted to save it, and I want you guys to understand where I have been critical about the national media when it comes to Lamar Jackson. You know, people think that some people make this assumption that I bring race into it. That's not true. People, I just want you to understand how the media controls and spins the narrative when it comes to this game of football. I'm watching the games and I'm listening to what these guys are saying about players. So I just want you to understand. So my secret weapon has been unleashed. I tried to be nice. I really tried. But some people are forcing me. Some people have forced my hand. I tried to be nice.
Guys, having a great Saturday. This is Regular Ravens fan coming back at you with another video. You all know what I say. You all know what I believe. I believe that we all need to trust our eyes so that way we can understand and not pay attention to any lies. I want to give a shout out to ABC Def for bringing this video to my attention. I appreciate you, man, because it's one word I want to use for Stephen A. Smith, and the word is hypocrisy. Hypocrisy, being a hypocrite. Excuse me. You're going to see how the national media is hypocritical when it comes to Lamar Jackson. And a lot of people, you know, there have been several people coming at me saying, hey, man, you act like the national media only hates against Lamar Jackson, you know, as if they don't say the same things for everybody else. Well, this video right here is going to allow everybody to see how not just regular Ravens fan, not just a fan, but actually someone who's now a member of the media who once played the game exposes Stephen A. Smith for being a hypocrite. Literally 1 week later, a hypocrite. So week 2, we all know what the overwhelming national media feeling was as far as what Lamar Jackson had to do against Pat Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. You know, no matter what Lamar Jackson has done. As a matter of fact, people had actually said that, you know, it doesn't matter what he's done in the season. So what if he's 31-5 against everybody else, you know, as if 31-5 isn't an outstanding start to your career. But no matter about that, he's 0-3 against Pat Mahomes, you know, so he's 31-8 because he's 0-3 against Pat Mahomes. He's got, you know, if he doesn't beat Pat Mahomes, nothing he does matters.
Hold on, real quick. I'm gonna play the video. Just 1 second.
None of those 31 wins matter. He had to beat him. That's what they said. Because they thought that due to decimation of our team by injury, it just didn't look good coming into the game. Let's just all be honest. It did not. Nobody went into that game thinking that the Ravens would win. Nobody. I mean, us diehard Ravens fans, that's what we always want. But realistically, with the odds stacked so far against, we didn't think that. But back to the hypocrisy. 1 week later, as you can see it on your screen, they want to know, is this a must-win for Matthew Stafford, a quarterback who I have mentioned in comparison with Lamar Jackson multiple times, because I just don't understand why one quarterback, as young as he is, gets so much hate and has to jump over so many moons just to be recognized, whereas another quarterback has been in the league for more than a decade, has not even accomplished as much as the young quarterback, and is just, you know, given a pass, always given a pass. So I want you all to observe Ryan Clark expose Stephen A. Jackson for being a hypocrite. That word, hypocrisy. Stephen A. Smith, that's you, a hypocrite. Here we go.
I'm not saying that, but what if Matthew Stafford, who's already thrown for 599 yards, what if he has a 300-yard game, throws about 3 touchdowns, QBR's up there, it's a competitive game, and Tampa Bay walks away, let's say with a 34-31 win or whatever. Oh my God, stop the presses. Matthew Stafford's gonna look bad. Stop, Ryan. That's not true. This is so crazy to me, Stephen A. We coming off a week where all of y'all were on TV. Oh, Lamar Jackson has to play so well. This team has to win. They never beat Kansas City. Lamar Jackson has done much more than Matthew Stafford. Lamar Jackson has proved much more than Matthew Stafford, but he's already playing in must-win games in week 2. But now, Matthew Stafford, who in his life has never won anything. Yes, he's shown us that he's a #1 overall talent. He's shown us that he had an amazing arm, but he's not a winner. Matthew Stafford isn't a guy that has led teams to great seasons, been an MVP, and now he gets his chance in his new place where you got rid of your first overall pick, Jared Goff, a guy that's already brought you to the Super Bowl, and you're telling me in his first huge game against Tom Brady, he doesn't have to go out and win? A guy that has never proved in his NFL career that he can be a winner doesn't have to go out and win? Give me a break, Stephen A. And don't act like you're the dude that sits there and lives life with logic and rationale. Because if that was the case, you wouldn't be around here being Brick and hosting Jimmy Kimmel. You would just sit on First Take and sit on Stephen A's World with all the 11 million shows you have and just chill. But you...
Okay, really quick. I just want to skip a little bit forward because he said something that I thought was key. Let me find it.
Because I want the national audience to get the truth. I don't want them to get fake narratives to paint people in lights that the national media chooses for them. I want them to get it from what it really is. And I'm so happy that he exposed this man on national TV. So for all of you people who tell me that Lamar Jackson gets the exact same thing as everybody else, as the hypocrite said, stop it. Because it's not real. That's fake. Just like all the narratives they put on Lamar Jackson are fake. Like, it's funny how you say, how Stephen A. Smith says, well, what if Matthew Stafford, comes out there and has 300 yards and 3 touchdowns and whatever, and they lose? Is it going to be on him? Well, when Lamar Jackson played in the playoff game against the Tennessee Titans, and he had over 500 yards of total offense, 350 plus throwing the ball, the guy that they say can't throw, 350 plus yards throwing the ball, 147 rushing, right?
Yep.
But a running back on the other team who goes against Lamar Jackson's defense had 200 yards rushing, and we lost the playoff game. They didn't put that burden on anybody else on the.
And again, real quick, because he's pretty much saying the same thing I said. But I want you guys to understand the how the media spins and controls the narrative. I just don't know what more you want from Lamar Jackson. I mean, when I mean from Lamar is a complete football player. I mean, when we're talking about a quarterback, I gave you what the definition of a quarterback is. He's a general. I didn't see him play football, but didn't John Elway, when he was like 30 something, wasn't the same quarterback he was when he was younger, run for a big game that was a key play in that Super Bowl championship? Steve Young, Dan Marino, Peyton Manning. It really is getting to the point where this criticism, I just think it's just getting to the point where it's unnecessary. I just wanted to play those clips, because those couple of little clips, because what he said was exactly the same point that I have been trying to tell people about how the media controls and spins the narrative. And yet, for some, people look at me like I'm crazy. There's no this, there's no that. When it's clearly it's clearly there. But I digress. So, with that being said, that's going to end the podcast. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, because I've not hit my mark. I want to get off. But with that being said, I hope you have a great Tuesday. Hope you have a great week. You will see episode, which is now 11 coming up. You'll see it probably sometime Wednesday. And again, I just want to remind you that any ignorant, goofy comments, they will be blocked. No time for trolls. This is all about having a conversation and enjoying sports. You will see me get into more social topics. In episode 11, just for the record. But with that being said, hope you have a great week. I'm out. Peace. Stay out.
With 3 seconds to play. "49 straight field goals."
This is the guy you want, Greg. If you're in this situation, I can't think of a better option.
This is for an NFL record 66 yards. On its way. It bounces off the crossbar, and it's good.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my. Did that just happen, Greg?
What a kick.
I've never seen anything like it. I'm speechless, but what a kick.
It was barely long enough to get the bounce off the crossbar.
First of all, listen, it's interesting about all these young guys today. They never call on us and say, hey, thanks for the kind word and telling me how great a player I am. But when they play like crap and we call them out, we don't know what we're talking about. Listen, I'm easy to find, but I get sick of these guys complaining. These young guys, they never call us and say, when a coach is wrong, I'm going to call him out. But when players are wrong, I'm going to call them out. But listen, I'm going to criticize guys that they deserve it. And listen, they can kiss my ass if they don't like it.